And you moved from... Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings from the springtime in beautiful Iowa City. And it's my privilege and honor to introduce Ann Langenfeld tonight. I went actually to the den of the lion's den, as they say, which is Lincoln Elementary, to find out the leader there to tell you the story of what they have been through recently, now renovation and movement, lots of challenges, and of course I can't envy you, especially that you had all this designed and done during a horrible winter time.
Yes.
And so let us, tell me first your journey, Anne. How did you become the leaders in the den?
Oh, at the Lincoln Lion Den. All right, well, I joined the district. This is my 15th year being in the district. So I went ahead and I was first at Grantwood Elementary as a reading specialist. So I taught Title I and reading there. And then I was moved to a position of staff development facilitator. So I worked with the mentoring program at the central office and professional development at the district level, while also still teaching reading recovery. And I did my last year of that at Lincoln. And then the following year, I was appointed as principal at Lincoln Elementary. So this is my 7th year at Lincoln and have enjoyed it very much.
We had the pleasure of having you at least 4 or 5 times out of those 7, and we're lucky to have you. We missed you last year because of the commitments and all these plans and projects. And so now take me through your journey when you are going to renovate Lincoln.
Oh, it is going to be amazing transformation.
Okay.
So on the master's facility plan, the 10-year plan called for on year 6 of Lincoln to be renovated, but that hinged on the general obligation bond, $192 million being passed. And we are so grateful to our community for voting that yes. So immediately after the bond was passed, we went, we had planned, and we're waiting on that. And then it just opened up the doorway. So this has been a wonderful time for our staff, our students, and our families to help plan our renovation. We started with really serious planning with our architect firm, Design Alliance, out of the Des Moines area. Last spring with a group of teachers, and they brought all the ideas in. We did kind of a brainstorming board of what we really wanted to prioritize our renovations. And that came out, we wanted to ensure play space for children outdoors. We have a very small footprint on our piece of land that we can use for play. We're kind of built on a hill and we have big ravines. So outdoor play space, we wanted to maximize that, and then we wanted to make sure we were building for future generations. So we wanted to improve the form and function of the building itself with minimal costs, because we knew renovations were going to be a little pricey, just based on its, the original school was built in 1926. It was the gym with a stage and 2 classrooms. And so grades 1, 2, 3 were in one room, 4, 5, 6 were in another room, and then kindergarten, when they got enough children, I think that was in 1927, they went on the stage as their classroom. And so after that, the school has had like 5 or 6 different additions, little pieces put on. So it's a kind of a different layout right now, and it doesn't function very well for transitions and efficiency, and we're struggling to make it work for today's learner. So we looked at that, and we were really demanding of our architects to think outside the box. And they were really creative. They brought the first 3 plans, but it took up too much space on the playground. And so then they came back with the next idea, which was building out over the ravine, over the hillside to the east. And that is the final plan that we ended up with. In order to do this, it took a lot of neighborhood support, city council support, and our school board support, as well as central administration, because it is outside the box. It is a protected slope that needed to be approved, that we could go ahead and build out there. A lot of thought about our playground. Right now, I learned more about sewer lines and ravines and watershed than I ever thought I would.
You became a structural engineer.
And I think it's just fascinating,
Yeah.
and it's a good lesson for our children to be thinking about how things are planned and moved. And I can talk about that, about the playground thoughts about that in just a minute. But our playground was built out over a ravine in a watershed area. So the plans are fabulous. They include a permeable surface with like I want to call them like cisterns, but I don't think that's what you call them, but where the runoff water would collect and then slow release. So it protects from flooding of our neighbors, and we're being a really good neighbor with this. The people that live around it have contributed to the plans and the ideas. So I did bring a video tonight, kind of a flyover of the exterior that I can talk through too, if you would like to see that.
So we'll see a bird's eye view now?
Yes.
Okay, let us
Yes.
let us see the video, and while the video is going on,
Right.
we can, yeah.
So this is from Design Alliance, and you'll see in the front remains the same. It's just there's a little addition on the front office to allow us to have a health office space, and we're not adding on or taking away any of our playground, so that's a bonus. And as you go around, we're going to see that new addition on the east side. And it blends nicely with the design of the neighborhood in Manville Heights, and where we join up to some of the university property in Manville Heights. So this is the new addition, which it opens to beautiful glass on the east. And the lower level, you have the gymnasium with the library over the top. Those 3 windows is our library. And the gymnasium will double as a storm shelter. And then our before and after school program has a space down there. But we'll be gaining a preschool. We're gaining a music room that is currently out in a modular. We can't say it's a temporary because it's been out there for several decades. And then our other modular, which was in place at least since 1976, will be taken away, and we'll actually have classroom space in the building for that. But it's going to be beautiful. So in the inside, we have the smallest gym in the district right now, and the plans are to actually fill it in, and there's several levels there. So they're going to fill it in, and preschool will be on one side, and then on the other side will be the kindergarten, so it's kind of an early childhood wing. And the original entrance that kind of points towards River Street is going to be opened back up again, and so it will be beautiful, and we'll have the historic windows custom for the building too.
And backstage, you were telling me about the fact that in the next video
Yes.
that you are going to show to our audience, there is maybe this is the first time our audience and our viewers will look at the new Hoover
Right, so
building that you are
Yes.
now the occupants, right?
well, we, you know,
Partially, at least.
yes,
Right.
we're, next year, all of Lincoln and Horace Mann Elementary, we're moving to the new transitional schoolhouse, which is also called the new Hoover, and some people have shortened it to Newver, which is kind of fun to say.
Hoover.
The kids like to say Newver. And that's been a really awesome time to collaborate with Chris Basaric and Julie Robinson from Mann. Chris Basaric is a principal at Longfellow. And then also with central administration on how those plans will move, because it's novel, it's unique to have two schools share one schoolhouse at the same time. And so we created a video at Lincoln to explain to our families and our children what it's going to be like to travel on a bus, to wait at a bus stop and go all the way to New Hoover, and then what it will be like. And we have our staff members in New Hoover smiling and waving throughout it, because we want our children to see familiar faces and new places, and then have a visual so that they can watch it and help them with the transition and reduce some of the stress, hopefully, of going to a new place that they aren't sure of. So if we're ready to show that, I'd be happy to kind of talk through it.
We are getting it right now.
So here's the staff. We're modeling what it's like to wait at a bus stop. And then you can listen in the background, and we'll have our kindergarten sing a Welcome to Lincoln song. So and this is the new Hoover where the buses line up. The office area. And this is sleigh waving. Health office. And then we go out into the commons area. And I think the rest is kind of self-explanatory. Yes, the new Hoover is to the academic wing for 1st through 3rd grade is down on the 1st floor, and the 2nd floor is 4th through 6th. This is the commons area by the library, and it goes down to the lower commons. And if you were to take a right in this hallway, you would end up in the early childhood wing, which has the preschools and the kindergartens. This would be a typical classroom. That's Mr. Criswell.
So while we are doing all that, what kind of challenges you had to meet during this process?
Well, we have to have our building packed up by 6 p.m. on June 1st because asbestos abatement begins right away. So for a challenge is what goes to the warehouse to be stored that we don't need for a year, and what do you need to take with you so that you have everything you need to teach. And sorting through that, cleaning out closets. So that's been something our teachers have been doing a fabulous job. We've put a system in place. It's a color-coded system, and Mann has a similar color coding. And we're just organizing packing boxes and keeping everything moving right along. The other piece is how do we get all the children to New Hoover? It's a transportation piece. That's been interesting because we've held several parent meetings about that to inform. Craig Hansel and Esme Davis from the district have been down to talk about what it's like to route buses, considering where the best bus stops would be. And so all those forms were due April 1st, and so when June is over, they'll be routing those buses. So we'll have that. And then just thinking about how do you pack up a library? Because we will use the new Hoover collection next year, and then our collection actually will be stored. But you have to have the boxes labeled, right? Because you need to be able to put the puzzle together when you come back. And so Kathleen Loker is our teacher librarian, and she is so organized and has a system. And the City High Senior Service Day is May 23rd, and we have a senior high seniors from City High coming to help us box up the library. And so they will go into a climate-controlled warehouse area for the year, and we're using the New Hoover collection. And then when we come back, I'm sure Lincoln parents and staff will all be there to help put them on the shelves.
How kids are reacting to this whole process? I just wonder.
Well, we've been bringing them along. So the video is helping them teach, but one of the things is the playground, because now we have an opportunity to design a new playground. And so our fifth graders have been working on persuasive essays, and informative pieces. So last fall, they all did presentations on what they think would be best playgrounds for our new school. So creative spaces, we had one that was really a great creative idea. He said, let's use a used box car and bring it in so we could have a stage for creative play. Others said they wanted things that were sensory. Others wanted all large muscle. Some were like a naturescape. Since we have a lot of hills, one of them talked about, can we do a built-in slide into there with natural rock climbing wall around it. And so that's just like one idea that they had.
There is a lot of feeling of ownership, and
Yes.
The creative ideas of kids are part of the plan too. I mean,
Well, it's their school.
right.
They live in it and work in it just like we do, and so they need to be a part of it. And I imagine when we start talking about the furnishings, we'll have new furnishings when we come back. We will probably let the kids help. I mean, if that's my idea, we'll have the kids help us select what kind of desks and chairs and colors and that. So as much as we can involve them, we will, and parents too. We really are excited because this renovation will allow us to have our own cafeteria, and then it also has it where the academic area can be locked off so the rest of the area can be used by the community. So it really needs to be built and designed to meet the needs of a changing population, because when we come back, half of our families will go north. The north of I-80 will go to Penn. They've been rezoned to Penn. And then we'll receive a new half from Mann. We'll get some Mann students. So we want to make sure next year we're building community so that the new students from Mann will also have a say in our design for the playground.
And you mentioned to me the support you are getting from the community and the parents in particular.
Yes.
And I think that's of tremendous importance, right?
Communication has been key. Bringing people along and making sure there's no surprises. That as I know information that's confirmed, we've followed Longfellow's template. They are undergoing renovations this year, and they're in the transitional schoolhouse. And it was a really good model. So Mann and Lincoln are both following that same thing. So if you go to either one of our websites, our renovation plans have been posted, information just that we know and is out there. And that's the same thing that Chris Basarik had started with Amy Courtmeyer, our assistant superintendent. It's worked really well. And I can't say enough about Dwayne and the facilities management department for helping us move through this process. We stay on a timeline of when we need to be meeting with contractors. Like tomorrow we have a construction meeting with our first time with McComas Lucina, who was selected. They won the bid for construction. So it's really exciting. We're really happy.
Now, with the few minutes that are left in the show, can you tell me how your staff are reacting to this process now? We saw the kids' reaction. How about the staff?
Oh, well, they've been along the process, and so we just keep updating each other on it and keeping the plans. We're anxious to be able to assign classrooms to them. So August 1st, they'll be able to move into their new classroom. So as Longfellow packs up again to go home, they're anxious, they're excited. Of course, you're always nervous because you don't know. We were over there the 1st of April. We did professional development. So they've been in the building twice as a team. And we learned they have the new classroom technology there with the different type of interactive whiteboard and Bluetooth. So we practiced with that, had hands-on, and they went. Of course, we made the video. I think there's going to be some, there'll be some stress related to it, but that's with every move. But we're trying to minimize it and stay healthy with it.
Now, you talked to me about the coordination between you and the other principals.
Yes.
So the whole thing is kind of family designing the new homes. right?
It is. It is in a way.
Furniture and
it is.
books
It's
and
the furniture and how are you going to flow through it. Like Julie from MAN, Julie Robinson and I,
Right.
we're working on a master schedule together. We're up to now meeting almost every week just to talk through nuances and the things that you probably wouldn't think about that need to be planned and thought out. And we're rolling out communication at the same time for both buildings and then coordinating it with Chris from Longfellow to make sure that, you know, the timing is all right. So there will be a few weeks that 3 schools will be operating out in the new Hoover in the office area, and we're all good friends.
Can you give me an idea about the numbers? Because I know probably Longfellow is the biggest one,
well,
right?
Longfellow, I think when you put Lincoln and MAN together,
Right.
we'll fill every space in that new school.
Okay.
So between the 2 staffs and then the children, we'll fill every space. All the
And you
offices
have
and everything.
how many kids you have?
We have about 240, and I think MAN runs about 230, 240.
Okay.
So that's about 475 kids, I think we're
Right.
thinking. But then when you break down the classes based on how many teachers and classes you have, we'll fill all the classrooms. So.
Now, a little bit selfish question here about art.
Okay.
I know that we saw part about the art
Yes.
facility there.
Yes.
How are the art teachers coping with the situation there?
Well, Jill Harper is our Lincoln art teacher, and she helped design our Lincoln renovated, our new room. But I would say we do a lot of upcycling and things like that, and there's a lot of great things that you don't want to lose. So we've got plenty of boxes, so she's packing everything. Packing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know that she enjoys teaching elementary more than she enjoyed teaching secondary.
Yes.
Because she has had a long history at City High.
She's so creative.
Right.
She really is. And so, no, she's packing up and we're moving it all over there. And I think some like our PE teacher who, we don't need 2 sets of balls between MAN and Lincoln,
Right.
so they're trying to decide which equipment to take, one school or the other school, or who has what. And so their teachers are all organizing it, so they're very good.
We are, I think, about 5 minutes to the end of the show.
Okay.
And I would like you to look at the camera and talk to the viewers about any kind of support and understanding that you need to have right this moment, because your task is humongous. I mean, I really can't envy you. Try to coordinate all this, and in the meantime, do your work as a principal and see how the curriculum is implemented, and make sure that every child is happy and every child is learning. So what's your message to the community right at this moment?
My message to the community is to make sure you continue to communicate with your administrator. Share the great ideas you have. We don't get a book or a manual on how to do this. We just need to make sure that we're reaching out to people, that we are listening, and that we're responding to issues, concerns. Because I always tell my parents, I'd rather have you call and let me know if you're worried about something. And so I freely give out my cell phone number to my families, because oftentimes I can give them information about the day or whatever they're worried about, and that just helps everyone. So I would say communication. Keep that open, frequent and often, and feedback, and stay positive.
And on a personal note, you have been a very successful leader as an administrator, but I know you as an educator, to a classroom teacher. Do you miss classrooms? Do you miss?
I have the best job in the world, because I can go into any number of classrooms.
Okay.
I can just go out in the hallway and just go in and sit down, and
So
that's
you
what I
still
love
teach?
to do.
I
I do. I guest teach. So, and then sometimes if I need a teacher to do something else, like to go to a meeting or go to professional development, I'll step in and cover the class. That's the best way to stay
without
current.
without the need to pay a sub or something, right? The
No,
cost
and it's
that-
good for me. It's
Right.
good for me to go in and teach and stay current. And and I can stay in touch with the children. I can do spreadsheets and different things like that after hours, but I like to connect with the kids and the people. So,
Super.
thank you.
Well, now that we are about to wrap things up, and maybe the last question that comes to my mind now is, do the media show any interest of covering all these activities that you're doing? I mean, I didn't see really features.
Well, social media covers a lot of it. We're doing more Twitter and Facebook and different things like that. And there's an app called Seesaw where there's a lot more of what's happening in the classroom on a daily basis being sent home. But there seems to be less coverage from the newspapers, yes.
Yeah, so that may be a good chance now. I mean, being a part of the presses and team, I think we should probably give more emphasis on covering this, you know. And now we have Amy, who is a very talented education correspondent.
Yes, she is.
And I hope that she would give you the credit that you deserve, because I think it's very, as long as we are communicating through social media, that's fine, but again, the press media and the mass media are extremely important as well.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely, you are welcome anytime you want to come, at any time you like. Our team would be very happy. John Karhoff, Michael Peterson, Public Access TV, who are helping us doing this, especially Mr. Sujit Singh and the team here, Erin Crawford, and the big guy, Geraldo, Dr. G, Alex and Julieta, and all the family of Public Access TV would be very happy to have you anytime to update the community of what's going on. And we are at any time be at your service. This particular program is going to be on YouTube. I think we are live streaming now. I mean, people have already watched you, at least a couple of them. And then we're going to move this into YouTube, and at any time the parents can just click on it, they will see that. And channel 18, that's Public Access TV, as well as their website, and channel 21, educational channel, according to the listing, that's still under the control of Mediacom. Thank you very much indeed, and welcome back.
All right, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a very good night in beautiful Iowa City during the beautiful springtime. Thank you.